Can you actually live on one income in today's day and age when everything is out of control? Especially if you have kids. We're going to cover that today. Hey friends, I'm Heidi, the Heavenly Minded Homemaker, and I actually am really excited for today's video because I love this topic. How to actually live on one income. I'm going to give you a little backstory so that you can hear where I'm coming from, and then I'm going to give you actual practical things that you can start doing right now if this is an area that you would like to work on. I believe absolutely that you can live on one income because we've done it for a very, very long time with lots of kids and all the pieces. We'll talk about that. But because I see so often when I talk about the value of a woman obeying God's word by prioritizing their home. We're doing a study on biblical womanhood all summer long. If you haven't joined us already, you know I'm going to say it, go and check out the link down below so that you can come and join us for that free study, going through God's word, looking at his design and desire for our lives. God calls us, women specifically, to prioritize home. Home is our focus. So we will get into breaking that all down in the study, right? And how all that looks, but that means that we're home more. Home is our focus. That means that our focus and our drive maybe isn't career, maybe isn't being out all the time, maybe is being home, training up our children, right? Pursuing the things that God calls us to. And that looks different in many different seasons of life. I understand that. But then that question comes up to so many and they go, well, how can I actually live on one income? There's no way that's possible. I even had a guy comment on a video the other day that it was a horrible comment, but he was like, as a Christian man, absolutely no way am I going to be the only one working. She's going to get out there. She's going to get a job. She's going to bring in her money because no way we could do this on one income. She better get to work and pull her own weight. And I was like, wow, you sound like quite the catch, buddy. Thank you for sharing. Let's look at this. Can you survive on one income? What about if you have kids? What about if this? What about if that? You can, and this is how. Because we are a family of 6, usually with more living with us, whether we've taken in a relative or someone, right? We usually always have extras in our house. We have a homestead, we have animals, we have lots of pieces and moving things going around. Now, I'm not saying that it's the easiest thing in the world. Sure, money can be a very valuable tool that when you have a bunch of it laying around, it can do different things. That's great. But I think most of us have found that more money usually causes more problems because we then spend more and take on more, and it really isn't that we have more, it's just that we're spending more. And so I think it's really important to look at this and put together, if my goal is to be at home or to only work part-time or whatever it might be, I need to get down to a one income family. Can I do that? Is it possible? Well, it is possible. And if you are a one home income, leave us a comment down below so that other ladies, other sisters in Christ can be encouraged of, wow, like it is possible. Other people are doing this, not just this crazy lady on the internet, but like other people as well. Leave us a comment down below and let us know, because I'm going to share some of the tips that have really made it possible for our family. And I know they might not be glamorous and they might not be what you've been used to seeing, but they make it possible. And remember in all of this, that God is the ultimate provider. When he calls us to live a certain way, when he calls us to trust him, he doesn't abandon us. He doesn't leave us. Now, things might have to change a little bit, but God promises to provide us each and every day with exactly what we need, which then shows us that if I don't have it today, it's because God knows I don't actually need it today. And that's a bigger heart lesson than it is a physical financial lesson. Because when we pursue what the Lord is calling us to do, whether it's to be home, to start homeschooling your kids, to, start a family business, to whatever it might be, right? Whatever that might be for you. If that's what God's calling you to do, He's going to provide. And He shines the brightest when we're at our weakest. And so there's nothing wrong with being in that spot where it's, Lord, every day I'm praying for my daily bread, because He always provides. So what are some things that we can do to get us going in the right direction? Let's break them down. The first most important thing when assessing how you can move to a one income home, you've got to be brutally honest and understanding need versus want. Okay? This one, I feel like it's so easy to see when it's our kids doing it. Story time. My 6-year-old called my mom the other night on my phone. She calls my mom answers, and she just goes, Nan, we're broke. And my mom's in the middle of doing something. I think she's cooking dinner in her house, and she goes, wait, what? What's going on? Nan, we're broke. And then, of course, Grandpa in the back, he hear, wait, what's going on? What happened? What are they? And I love it. And she gets into this, and my mom goes, so is this you calling me because, like, you have no food in the house and you need us to come bring you food, And she goes, well, no, we don't have the food I like. How often is it? Right? I go, thankfully she's called my mom, she's not just going up to some stranger. They'd be like, oh, wow, call the people, these poor kids. There's plenty of food in the house. But my daughter wanted something, right? My 6-year-old wanted something that I said, no, we're not spending money on that. Like, we have a budget. This is what we stick to. This is our plan. Like, I'm not buying the expensive sugary junk, we don't spend money on that. So then she calls her grandmother and tells her that we're broke and that's why we don't have the stuff, and it's not that we don't have food, we just don't have the food she wants. So it's interesting, we see that when we look at our children, it can be so easy to decipher between need and want. But what about with us? We have to truly be honest here about what's a need and what's a desire. Because so often we go, oh, there's no way we could lose my income. We have to have 2 incomes. Well, why? Well, I wouldn't be able to afford this. Okay, understandable. That's how that works. Do you actually need those? If you had no other choice but to exist on just his income, what would that look like? Well, I'm pretty sure you'd pick all the actual needs, make them fit into what there was, and figure it out. Because you'd start to realize the impact real quick of need versus want if you had no choice. And so if God is calling you to be home more, to prioritize your home, which He is, in whatever way that might look like in your life, and that means some financial changes, you want to get down to just this one income, you need to start really being honest about what's a need and what's a want. Because most things that the average American household pays for on a monthly basis is a want, not a true need. The second thing that you can do, and I get some of these things I'm going to offer to you are not very fun. They might not be your favorite. I'll be honest and say they're not always my favorite. I don't find them very fun because sometimes I get that worldly thing that grabs me and I go, oh, why can't I just boom, 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 boom? Well, I can't because I don't have the money, and I don't have the money because I prioritize something that is far greater than just money and worldly gain, but sometimes the world wins over and it's hard to remember that, okay? You could find a more affordable house. Right? Let's look through this. We got to understand needs versus wants, and obviously we all need somewhere to live. We could all probably find more affordable housing. And I know that that can be very difficult, and it can mean massive life changes. If you live somewhere where the cost of housing is just bananas, you can move. You can go somewhere else. You can move to a smaller home. You can move out of town a little bit further. There's always something you can do. For a season of time, you could go and maybe live with family so that you can save up money to purchase them. Like, you can do many different things. And I say that as someone who spent a period of time homeless, living out of our car. We didn't have a home when our third child was born. So I get it. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying it lightly. The home that we live in now was one that we chose. Such a blessing, such a great story, but we chose it for the property, for the space. We could have chosen a nicer home, but we chose this one that was more affordable because it had the space. Now, we're thankful for that because we do have an affordable home, and there's so much there that we can get into, but it means that we go without many standard things that I'm sure all of y'all's homes have in them, because this is what's affordable. This is what we can choose then to make work for us versus going and taking on something that would cost so much more. And so that first key piece of home, yes, we all need somewhere to live, but you can choose a more affordable home. Now, it might mean you're going to have to make some really big changes, and I get it. That's not something that happens overnight. But if you're trying to get down to one income, you can reassess your housing. Now, the next one here that I know you guys are like, lady, you're crazy, but I'm telling you, what about your car situation? That's the next thing, right? A home, yes, that's going to take a lot of your money. I get it, but we can make changes there. What about your car? Do you have a car payment? Do you have multiple car payments? I mean, do you even own a car? We haven't owned a car in years now. Now, we have for the past couple of years had access to use a car. Yes, big difference. But we still went for a couple of years with no car. And it was because we got put in a situation where it broke, we couldn't fix it, a whole thing, we had to get rid of it. And we just didn't have the money to put into a new one. But guess what happens? You find ways to make it work. Now, to be able to save up and to purchase a used vehicle, paid out flat, yes, that would be fantastic. That is absolutely a prayer of ours. And if the Lord opens that door up, I will be forever thankful. But reassessing your car situation. Instead of having new cars with payments, why don't you get something used that can be paid off in full? Do you have to have that vehicle? Do you have to keep upgrading it, right? Do you have to keep doing all of that? You don't. We can drive something older. We can have something paid off. Maybe we can even get by with nothing at all. Instead of having multiple cars, how about we have one? Our family has always been a one-car family. My husband and I even worked in totally separate locations from one another when we both worked full-time, regular jobs and all the stuff. We made it work. I would drop him off early so that I could get down to my job, and then he would wait. Right? Like you made it work. We had no choice. So we had to make it work. But that scarcity opened up this great creativity to find ways to make it work. Instead of figuring out how do we just go buy another car, we figured out how do we make it work with one, instead of bringing on all that extra expense. You can get rid of other cars. You can get down to one. Maybe for some reason you have to get 2 used cars paid off. When we really look at where the bulk of our money is going and why we think we need to have 2 incomes, we can get for real with ourselves, look in these areas and go, there's a lot of money that we could chuck out here real quick. I find time and time again when helping families do this, that you can actually cut out more. It's easier to cut out stuff that you don't need, truly need, and make up an income than it is to go out and have to work and earn one to try to keep up with all the things that you don't actually really truly need. So I would absolutely assess your car situation. I think especially for a family, once you've tackled home and vehicles, food. Food is one where we can spend so much so quickly. Do you know now it is actually quite crazy that the average family eating out at a fast food restaurant spends more than they would going to a sit-down restaurant? Fast food has become the meal ticket for the average American family for so long now. The prices are so sky high that you literally could go sit down in a restaurant, most restaurants, and eat for the same amount, if not less. Isn't that crazy? Our family doesn't eat fast food. We quit eating fast food years ago when I really started digging into health and nutrition and things like that. And so every once in a blue moon, if we are out somewhere or we've gone on a trip or something, and that's our option, is somewhere through fast food, I about die when I see how much it costs to eat at a fast food place, because I'm like, how do people do this on the norm? No wonder everybody's broke. These prices are outrageous. Grocery prices are outrageous enough. And then that is just like insanity. Menu plan. When you get honest about, this is our food budget, this is what we have, end of story, and you get creative with ways to make that work, you can save so much money. So much money. The average amount that a family spends just, I'm just going to grab a little thing here, grab a little thing here. It's all these little expenses that add up at the end of the month to be large chunks of your budget. Menu plan. Be serious about what it is. I have my calendar sitting here on my desk, and my whole family will come in to check to see what we're eating today, right? Because it's written on here. I sit down once a month, I lay it all out. That is what it is. We get it. If you guys are curious, right? Our family, we're concerned about health. I want to be eating a certain way. I've released our ketovore, carnivore, family summer meals. You guys can sign up, follow on my Telegram channel, and get the whole recipe book, the meals that I have in there, plus my grocery shopping order. You literally can click, add it to your Walmart cart, go pick up your groceries, you're good to go. There's many ways to do this. And if you're looking for more ideas, leave me a comment, let me know. We're happy to help. But menu plan. Be honest about your food budget. Put these things in order. Be ruthless with the types of things that you're purchasing. So often we go and we just get the easiest pre-packaged, pre-made whatever. It's full of junk, it's full of chemicals. You're still hungry, you got all the sugar, so you're craving more. You've spent all this money now and had no nutritional value from it. When I could go and spend a little time and effort to make the same thing, actually feel, satisfied off of whatever the little treat was that I had, and continue on with leftovers still to enjoy throughout the week. You really need to look at your menu. You need to spend the time and menu plan and budget. Put a little bit of work and effort into that. The value of a woman at home, the value of a stay-at-home wife who is pouring into the things of her home. She is dutiful to pay attention to, yes, she knows what's coming in, but what's going out, I find to be far more valuable than just, hey, I brought in another paycheck, but I'm too tired to do anything, so now let's go out to eat, right? You're just wasting that money away. Being at home, knowing what's going on in your home, having these affairs put together, right? The true Proverbs 31 woman who is wise and knows what's going on, what she has, she's keeping it together, everything is in its order. That is massively valuable. And a menu plan is one of those ways that you can make a huge impact. Because while yes, that needs to happen with food, I would probably say if we started at homes, cars, food, we're kind of ticking down here. What we spend on just the daily things of life. And I'm not talking the purchases that you probably shouldn't make and you shouldn't make, and you're like, I probably shouldn't have spent that money, right? Like, do you really need to order that thing on Amazon? But the things that we actually do need, with a little bit of effort and know-how, and I'm talking a little bit, you can make all the things you need. It's really not that difficult. The more that we are educated and understand how to be frugal, it's really not that hard. Now, it's hard in the way of sometimes I just want the really nice, big, pretty, shiny thing and I can't have it, and that makes me sad. Okay, it's difficult in that way. But how I make laundry soap is really simple, and it works far better than any of the stuff that I used to spend tons and tons of money on. And I have a big family. We do multiple loads of laundry every single day. I'm not exaggerating, every day. I thought as my kids got older, I would do less laundry, but I actually do more laundry. I don't know how that happened. I used to do 1 load of laundry each day. Now I do 2 loads of laundry every single day. I think it's been 2 or 3 months since I made laundry soap. So literally just a few times a year, I make up a big batch. It's good to go. And that's with doing multiple loads of laundry every single week. There's so many things that we can do that are not only healthier for us, they're more enjoyable to use, but they work better and they cost just pennies. When you spend a little bit of time and effort to evaluate the things that your home uses on a normal basis, right? I'm talking cleaners, toiletries, any of those kind of day in and day out things. When you make an inventory of what it is your home, again, not wants, but needs on the regular, and then you can start to assess. For us, certain things we buy from the Wellness Company because I really appreciate it. Their cleaners last for forever. They're all natural. Absolutely love them. I buy those on a rotational basis. Done deal. Laundry soap. I can make it so much cheaper. I think it works better. I do that. That lasts forever. Our soaps and toiletries. Some I get from the Wellness Company because, again, natural stuff, not a bunch of junk. I get it kind of 1 month I'll get cleaners, 1 month I'll get toiletries. I kind of break it up. I buy in bulk. I get everything I need. It lasts us. If you're curious what that is, I'll link it down below. Some things I make and some things I buy and get from other places because, again, buy in bulk, source them, the best deal. I research my brands, I research my companies so that I can make the best decision for my household and our very teeny tiny budget. But when you start looking at the things and you start making that your job and your role to take on that responsibility and say, okay, what is it that our household needs? What of these can I buy somewhere else? What of these can I make? What of these do we actually need, right? You start going through that list, you're gonna start seeing dollars. Ooh, I can shave off a few bucks here, shave off a few bucks here. You start adding that up and you can make a huge impact. And then honestly, once you're kind of in that habit of this is what we get, this is what we use, it becomes second nature. It just is what you get and is what you use. We buy the same things at the same time and just kind of check it off. And it's really quite simple after that. But it takes that initial investment to weigh where you're at, where you can save, and figure out what works best to fit your family and your single income. And last but certainly not least, is you have to learn how to truly thrive in poverty. This world wants us to believe that we need more money, bigger house, multiple cars, stuff, always with the stuff. There's, always something, right? How many ads have you seen on this video, right? Like there's always something, and I get it. I share things with people, right? Sometimes there can be something that you're like, wow, that would be a great fit. That would be helpful. Then that's awesome. But we live in a consumer-driven world. And so when we are in that mindset that I have to just keep going and making money because that's where I find fulfillment in life, that couldn't be further from the truth. Because do you really feel fulfilled? Does trading all your time away for someone to give you a few bucks really make you feel better? Honestly, the more that we dig in and understand finances and business and how all of that works anyways, the person collecting a paycheck is never going to be the person that hits that level of financial peace because you're constantly the rat in the wheel trying to get the next paycheck. There's so much depth to understanding there where we actually reach, financial security and, things of that nature. And it doesn't come from a job. But when we understand the root of the matter, what actually matters in life, right? I said the billionaires laying on their deathbeds, going, hey, I wish I spent more time with my kids. I wish I really lived life. I wish I didn't, focus so much and live in the office so long. What matters in life? Is it stuff? Or is it those in our lives, the experiences, the time together? When we start to really look at this and realize, wow, I can have fun without it costing a ton of money. Hiking's free, going to the park's free, right? Having a cookout in your backyard is way better than taking everybody out to a restaurant. There's so many things that we can do that maybe require, a little bit of investment, but the return is so large. And I think it is really important that when we look at this, we don't go through this lens of what does the world say I need to be doing? What does the world say I need for fun and fulfillment and whatever? But what really matters? When we go through this mindset of how to live full for cheap, we understand frugality. We understand, instead of this like flex of, oh, look how much money I spent, we have this flex of look how little I spent and how much I got, right? When we start having those mental mind shifts, it makes this massive change into what actually matters in our lives. I personally wouldn't go back to a regular, both of us working 2 income, real job type situation again. I mean, I don't know, the Lord would really have to tell us that's what he wanted for that to be something we ever pursued, because I don't want to give up my life for an employer. I see my value right where I am. The literal impact that has upon my children, upon my husband, upon all others that we connect with in life. And are there many ways that we can build up a cottage industry and we can do stuff like that? Absolutely. But my priority's here. And by doing these things, by assessing where our money's going and what money we actually need, we've learned to live much fuller on much less. Because our eyes were open to, it's not the making more that's making everything better. We've made great money. I would say our lives are much fuller now on pennies compared to what we used to. But it was because we took that leap of faith and said, Lord, I really feel this is where you're calling me to be. It means we're going to lose out on this money, but I really feel strongly you're calling us to do it. We'll give it a shot. We'll try. And here we are, a decade later, still going strong. And so I really do encourage you that you start to seek and understand what actually makes you full, where you're actually thriving. If this was the last bit of life you had to live, is this where you would spend it? And the more that we understand this, the more we grow in this, the more that we see frugality is just a mode of transportation to the ultimate goal of a rich life. And I think that is so important that we focus on the thriving. When you understand the true root of it and what really matters, you thrive there. And it's not about money, it's not about stuff, it's not about status, it's not about any of the other stuff. It's about what actually matters. So friends, I really do hope that this can be an encouragement here today as we look at this and go, wow, are we going to move into a 1-income household? Is this what we're going to do? Right? If you want to see more videos about ideas for cottage industry and things like that, leave me a comment down below, and I'll try to, I've got a video I can try to link in the description as well for you if you would like that. But you can do it. Absolutely, you can do it. All of us can do it. And when the Lord is calling us, he equips us and he provides. And we might learn a lot in the process, but it all comes together. I'll be sure to leave you all a playlist here on this next screen of some more things that I think you will appreciate. Any questions you have, leave them down below, and I will see you all right back here in the next one, lifting you up as you move forward, faithfully serving the Lord and trusting in him to provide. See y'all then. Bye, friends.